Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time, the day after Thanksgiving. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a happy, healthy and safe Thanksgiving, and I hope you have a happy, healthy and safe holiday season ahead. Let's just jump right into the news today. President Trump claims that Biden must prove that votes were not illegally obtained, I quote, not illegally obtained in order to enter the White House. Wow. I'm going to cover President Trump's tweet. I'm also going to cover a rather interesting court filing from President Trump team attorney Sidney Powell. She misspelled the word district on her court filing, not once but twice on page 1 of the court filing. Just unbelievable. And I've covered Sidney Powell on our channel in the past couple of weeks, so you can definitely check out those videos. And the Economic Policy Institute pushes for a $3 trillion stimulus and makes the case for why a $3 trillion stimulus is required to rejuvenate the American economy. Let's just jump right in. On your screen, you see the tweet from President Trump today where the president says, and I quote, Biden can only enter the White House as president if he can prove that his ridiculous 80 million votes were not fraudulently or illegally obtained. When you see what happened in Detroit, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee, massive voter fraud, he's got a big unsolvable problem. So the president is telling President-elect Biden that he needs to prove that 80 million votes were not fraudulently or illegally obtained. That is what President Trump is saying today. Now, let's shift gears to the ex-Trump team attorney, Sidney Powell. You see this article on your screen that was published in Bloomberg, and the headline of the article reads, ex-Trump lawyer Sidney Powell files election suits in, I can't even pronounce that word, in that court. And Sidney Powell essentially bought cases after being dismissed from the Trump team. She essentially is no longer on the Trump team, and she misspelled district as, that word, I believe it's destroyed, in court filings. So I'm not kidding, you can actually see these for yourself. These are examples of the court filing that were filed by ex-Trump team lawyer Sidney Powell. Remember, she was on the Trump team. She was in a rather long press conference, made some with Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, who are on the Trump team, and she made some pretty interesting comments, some pretty interesting allegations, but she's no longer on the Trump team. Let's take a look at this on your screen right here. You see that the word district is misspelled not once but twice. There are some punctuation errors. There are lots of errors throughout the document. Let's take a look at a few more images here, and there are some errors as far as grammar is concerned as well, and there are some factual errors in the actual court filing, which is pretty incredible considering that she mentioned, here's another image where you can see that two sentences have no clear relevance to the claim. So you can see some pretty incredible mistakes in the court filings. Here's another image that misspells district when we're talking about Eastern District of Michigan. Just incredible. Also some grammatical errors there. Michigan Board of State, the space between off and state was missed out. Not something you would normally see in a court filing from a lawyer in a lawsuit of national significance. Just something we're not expected to seeing when it comes to these kinds of filings. So that was talking about election interference and essentially the moves made as far as President Trump is concerned in press briefings, and the moves made by an ex-Trump attorney Sidney Powell, who less than a week ago was on the Trump team, was on press conferences with Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis. Now let's shift gears towards the stimulus, because I know our viewers and subscribers want more information on stimulus. Here's a brand new policy memo from the Economic Policy Institute that reads, and you see this article on your screen, Congress must urgently provide $3 trillion of fiscal relief to stop the economic bleeding and build a strong recovery. Now, my viewers and subscribers know where the Democrats stand. They want at least $2.2 trillion, and where the Republicans stand, they stand right around $500 billion. And President-elect Joe Biden does indeed want to do a large stimulus, and he wants to do a stimulus before the end of the year. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So, according to the Economic Policy Institute, Congress must provide debt-financed fiscal stimulus. What that means is Congress should borrow from the future, in other words, essentially create debt and finance the economy, and then as the economy generates money, as individuals make more money and pay taxes, as most states collect money by way of state tax and by way of all the other things that they do, then that money can be paid off in the future. By the way, if you folks haven't seen my video on how the US government gets money and spends money, I strongly recommend you check out that video on our channel. You learn how the United States government actually earns money and spends money. I've also done another video on how the states get money and spend money. If a lot of our viewers and subscribers will be surprised to know that the number one expenditure for states is actually education, funding schools, making sure that that state schools are funded. That is essentially the main area where the states spend money. But anyway, let's get back to this. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused over 250,000 deaths. Millions of workers are still unemployed. More than 20 million workers are still unemployed, and half of these individuals who are on the PUA program and the PEUC program are going to see their benefits taken away unless there is congressional legislation for extension. And here's a quote from this Economic Policy Institute article. The Senate's failure to provide crucial relief and recovery aid has left families without a lifeline and will severely damage prospects for recovery. Policymakers must prioritize a high-pressure labor market characterized by low unemployment and strong public investments. So here's the full extent of the plan proposed by the Economic Policy Institute. Congress should provide debt-financed fiscal support of $2 trillion between now and the middle of 2022, so the next year and a half approximately, and then continue support on the order of $400 billion annually between the middle of 2022 and the end of 2024. So let's repeat that. $2 trillion between now and the middle of 2022, and then $400 billion annually from the middle of 2022 to the end of 2024, which would be close to $3 trillion in stimulus as suggested by the Economic Policy Institute. Here's another quote from the article, and this quote was made by the Economic Policy Institute Director of Research, Josh Bivens. I'm going to quote Josh right now, and by the way, I'll provide you with a link to the article in the description section below so you can check it out. Josh said, policymakers should not phase out funding too quickly and must continue fiscal support through the end of 2024. We have to be careful not to think of this as jump-starting an engine, and instead think of it like towing a car out of a rough patch to smoother ground. If large fiscal support is removed quickly, the fiscal contraction can overwhelm private sources of growth and tip the economy back into recession. I want to know what our viewers and subscribers think about this. Let me know in the comment section below. You'll find a link to our article. You'll find a link to the article from the Economic Policy Institute in the description section below. Do you think that we need large stimulus to pull ourselves out of where we are now, or do you think the economy is already recovering, which is, by the way, what Republican senators believe, what is the position of the Republican establishment. And also, what's interesting is the president did indeed push for a very large stimulus before the election, but since the election, as far as I know, there's been one tweet from the president about doing, I quote, a large and targeted stimulus. In fact, the president has said there needs to be a large and targeted stimulus, but since then we haven't really heard anything. I haven't heard anything from US Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, nothing from Mark Meadows. I have heard the usual, hey, we need to do a large stimulus from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and I've also heard the usual, we need to do a small targeted stimulus from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Do you think we should do a large stimulus? Keep in mind that the entire focus of the Trump administration is continuing to challenge the validity of the election, as you saw at the start of this video. So this topic of stimulus, even though there is a focus on stimulus from these kinds of liberal institutions like Economic Policy Institute, right now it's just talk. We can only hope. But I want to know what our viewers and subscribers think. Let me know in the description section below if you think there should be a large $3 trillion stimulus, which would mean stimulus checks, which would mean extension of unemployment aid, which would mean more money for businesses and essentially more money injected into the economy. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something new from this video, please consider clicking the like button. Please gently ignite that subscribe button and gently ignite that notification button. The name of our channel is Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. If you don't know anything about me, please check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. Get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000. That's 70000. You'll get added to our SMS alerts list. You can opt out at any time. Now, if you want, you can get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts. You can get added to our email list. You can opt out of the SMS list or the email list at any point in time that you want. No worries about that. You can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. So make sure you follow us on Twitter for breaking news and alerts. Speaking of alerts, sometimes YouTube does not always send out the alerts on time when we release new videos. There's a simple solution. All you have to do is simply bookmark youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. And you can visit the homepage of our channel and you can watch our videos at any point in time that you want. I encourage you to comment below, engage with our community. Our community is growing. It's very respectful. It's very intelligent. It's very bipartisan. For us, it's not about the red or the blue. It's about the red, white, and blue. We are not Democrats. We are not Republicans. We are Americans first. So I want our viewers and subscribers to know that that is the unique part of our community. Now, you'll always find the links to all of our resources always in the description section below, so you can dig deeper into any of our sources on your own. Also, please share this video with friends and family if you learn something new. This way, others can also get access to the right kind of information. We don't believe in information that is too conservative or too liberal. We want to provide information that is fair, objective, and balanced as much as possible in this imbalanced world that we live in. Finally, if you learned something new from this video, please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. And also, I would really appreciate it if you tell your friends and family about this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.